Welcome back to The Line. The impacts of the now record-breaking federal government shutdown are deepening, but perhaps nowhere as much as here in New Mexico. When you factor in the number of federal employees we have, the national labs, military bases, all that. But the impacts have now started to stretch well beyond just federal employees. And Justine, the Santa Fe New Mexican, had a story you probably saw this week that pointed to how a massive airport renovation is at a standstill up there because they can't get FAA approval and stuff like that. How are we supposed to consider this? It's interesting. Now, a lot can happen between the time we're taping this and Friday night at 7 o'clock, but we're many days down the road here. Your sense of this so far?
Sure, and the list is growing longer and longer, and we're over a month in, and people are looking around going, you know, what is this all for? What progress have we made? And a lot of people are really hurting. We have huge problems out on the reservations, especially with the weather.
Yep.
You know, people just, simple things, roads aren't getting plowed, people aren't getting basic services.
That's right.
But it seems like maybe something much more broad-based is going to have to happen to have a real outcry. I don't know if airports need to shut down in a big storm, but certainly we're feeling it here, all the way through the economy.
That's right. That's right. And, you know, Martha, we have a Commerce Secretary on Thursday morning asking why federal employees need to go to food banks. They should just go get low-interest loans to tide themselves over. It seems to be a disconnect between how people actually live and how they're perceived to live.
Well, maybe they need to tap their stock funds like he would do. But really, back to the point of what is happening in New Mexico, we have so much ancillary damage here.
That's right.
New Mexico is 5th in the nation in number of food stamp recipients. Now, the Trump administration just did a little card trick, and they released the food stamp money for March already, so it can be used in February. What's going to happen in the 1st of March?
That's right.
Something else that is really impacting are the domestic violence shelters, because they don't have enough money to accommodate people on the waiting list. They can't get people to transportation who got a job. One woman's already been fired because the transportation wasn't there because the federal money did not come through.
Wow.
And bottom line, in this state particularly, I think that shut down at the lower end of the scale, it's women and kids. And those are folks we don't think about. My heart goes out to the ones that are missing paychecks, but the ones that are going to be missing food, we need to get that Commerce Secretary to take a look.
Right, exactly. And Tom, that's a much different situation than parks being closed or, you know, it's heavily impactful on children at this point.
It's real lives.
Yeah, absolutely. But your sense of it and how we're doing here, folks are pitching in, you can get free meals in certain places around, but you can't cover every place and every one with these sort of outreach efforts. You know?
The outreach has been you know, fantastic. You know, everybody appears to be chipping in. You know, some of it's a little disconnected. There was a ski resort who was saying, "Hey, free skiing for the day," and I'm like going, "Oh, wait a second, this doesn't seem to
cost money to get there."
But aside from that, you know, it is impacting. In addition to the people that Martha was talking about, you know, it's impacting small business.
That's right.
Because you know, yes, the labs are open. Yes, the Defense Department is keeping the military bases open. But there are a lot of small businesses with 5 or fewer employees, and New Mexico is made up of small business, that are being impacted because, you know, unlike the federal employees who are just trying to find ways until they get all of that money back with the furlough, they're looking for ways of how do I make up for that lost income, because they will never be able to do that.
That's right.
The other thing too is the reliance of New Mexico still on the federal dole to be successful. You know, New Mexico, as we've talked about around this table before, has been so reliant upon federal funding, and this should be a huge wake-up call to the legislature. Unfortunately, I think it's just going to get lost in the conversation.
I want you to touch on this as well, but wind into something else here too, and I'll give you a two-parter. I'm curious about the sanctuary city state proposal that's out there and some of the impacts that might be had from that. But starting with the shutdown, what's your sense of it here for New Mexico?
Well, this is what happens, you know, when you elect someone who's absolutely out of touch with what working people. This isn't just about federal employees. I mean, you know, I get the polling is let's beat up on federal employees. You know, they're fat and lazy, and that's an easy target. But someone who thinks about policy and actually has a little more experience and actually, frankly, a little more humanity would know that this is going to affect lots of people outside of federal employees, small businesses, economists are suggesting this could have as much as a point effect on our GDP. This could,
a lot of money.
And this is not something where just, I think Wilbur Ross said, well, they'll get their back pay, so just hang on, borrow some money, go to a payday lender, do whatever you people do,
payday lender?
which is nuts. It's absolutely insane, but it does have practical effect. There's a human side to this, but there's also just a good policy governing side to this. You can't have this kind of shock on an economy, even an economy like ours, where our public sector is not as large as a lot of much more socially democratic countries around the world, where it would absolutely just shut the country down. So, and on sanctuary cities, I know that's a big one, and I know that it's another example of this kind of really scorched earth, I think, political environment that we're in. Like, we're going to shut the government down if we don't have a policy preference go our way. Well, we're going to also on sanctuary cities, it's just been this attack on immigrants, and a state like ours that was formerly part of Mexico, that has, frankly, the Mexican eagle in our state seal. We're considered, really close allies, and frankly, it's a minority state. Not to mention the fact that we're a nation of immigrants. So for a whole part of our national government, including the president, to sort of say that we're going to implement these draconian policies, I think it's important that states, just under our federalism, our federalist system, that states have to show some leadership. And I'm really proud that New Mexico is going to show some leadership on this and say, you know what, you got it wrong. You're on the wrong side of history. We're going to do the right thing because it's who we are as a people. It's who we are as a state as well.
Justine Fox Young, there's been a quote out there from a Republican lawmaker that says we don't want to poke the bear, meaning the President Trump, by going to the sanctuary state scheme. And we've got a bill now, of course, to not allow state land to be used as for the wall that the president wants as well. Is there a downside to this that you can see?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, at first, I think there's a total leadership vacuum federally, and that goes as far as there is no coherent immigration policy. Yes, immigration policy should be national, but I think we're seeing backlash in places like New Mexico. It is scorched earth. We are so polarized. Now, but to the question of should the state step in and tell a duly elected sheriff in Portales or Clovis that they can't coordinate with federal law enforcement officials? No, and it won't work. I mean, New Mexico is very diverse. It's very varied country, and I think it's inappropriate. I know there's a feeling we have to do something. We have to step in and take a position. It's a hot political issue, but it's totally inappropriate. I mean, we've seen movement over the past several years. In Bernalillo County, in the jail, in Santa Fe. If you want to talk about federalism, if local jurisdictions want to take those positions, I think they're accountable to the electorate, but not the state.
Gotcha. 20 seconds if you got a thought on that.
California, speaking of poking the bear, passed a sanctuary bill very similar to what we have on the table, and the Trump campaign challenged it, and the bear got struck down.
That's right. They lost that suit, as a matter of fact. Interesting point. Got to end that discussion there, but no doubt we will pick that up again before the 60-day session is over. Thank you all for your time and efforts in researching and discussing these important topics this week. Really appreciate it.